Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the legal show, everyone.
Can you tell us briefly about your week? How's your, well, it hasn't been quite a week yet, it's been a few days, but has it been eventful? Have you had a good legal week?
Um, yeah, I've had a couple of hearings, but quite straightforward. So nothing too exciting to report at the moment. We're only on Tuesday, so we've got a shorter week this week as well. So looking forward to the bank holiday, actually.
Are you celebrating the Jubilee? How are you celebrating?
Yeah, probably just spending more time with family, really. Just an excuse to eat and catch up, really.
And sleep. Sleep is very important for us lawyers. Sleep because we're always reading about cases and reading files.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. Be nice to have a long weekend and rest.
This week I would like to speak personal injury. Personal injury claims where people suffer injury, accident, and wish to claim for compensation. What do you know about that?
The personal injury sector. I actually, when I qualified, when I graduated, it was the first position I went into, personal injury and civil litigation. So, yeah, I haven't done it for quite a few years, but it was really good foundation for me, to have to start off in personal injury, get to have that client exposure and take cases from start to finish and then start feeding into litigation. And to have that foundation in civil litigation is key because, that underpins my work now with employment law. So it was really good experience. And I quite liked the negotiation side of things, which I'm still able to negotiate settlements for my clients. But yeah, I enjoyed my time in personal injury.
As you know, I'm also a personal injury lawyer, and I'm glad you mentioned negotiating because that's one of the things I also enjoyed, and particularly being able to fight and try hard for your client, where the client is a layperson, an individual, and you're negotiating against very big, large institutional insurance represented by very large corporate law firms. So it's very much a David and Goliath battle often, and you're fighting for the ordinary person. There's a lot of satisfaction in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, some of these claimants can have life-changing injuries. And, there's a lot of psychological injuries that arise from these accidents, whether it's accidents at work, whether, it's public liability claims or road traffic accident claims. Some of these injuries can be very severe and life changing. So it's great to be able to make a difference to the claimant and make sure they're adequately compensated so that they've got all the resources they need in order to, live their life.
And what would you like to know about personal injury? Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as you know, there was significant changes made in 2013 with the law reforms, and I'm a little bit out of touch with all of the personal injury sector. So it might be helpful to maybe give a little bit background in terms of why you chose to specialize in personal injury. I know you've got a great deal of experience, about 25 years, I'll say, which is quite impressive.
Yes, it has been a long time. Thank you for reminding me. It has been certainly over 20 years, and close to 25 years when I started on the path of representing clients who had suffered injury. And at that time, as you know, there weren't many solicitors in the Indian or community. And most of the solicitors were concentrated in the fields of crime and immigration and perhaps property work. And so I was one of the first personal lawyers in our community being able to speak Punjabi, Hindi, and bits of Urdu. I was able to help many communities. I was helping the Sikh community, the Gujarati community, and a lot of the Pakistani community with their claims.
Mhm.
And it's been a great journey. I've really enjoyed it because people, when they get injured, they need somebody they can trust and rely upon who's going to fight. And being an independent solicitor, not being linked to any particular insurance company. Claim today we were independent brand and independent representation for clients, because what happens is sometimes the insurance companies try and refer injury claims to their panel of solicitors, and we don't work with any insurance companies. We work just with injured people, and our sole aim is to do the very, very best we can for the injured party. And as you mentioned, making sure they receive proper compensation and the maximum amount of compensation we can obtain for them. Kulwinder, because as you know, we're in an adversarial system, which means it's a fight, it's a battle. The insurance company, they instruct solicitors who want to decrease the claim, they want to save money, they want to pay as little as possible. And our job at Claim Today is to maximize the claim and ensure the client receives the maximum amount of compensation. So there is a fight in that, and we like to fight very hard for our clients.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I can see that you're very passionate about what you do. And I'm glad you raised the issue about, being independent, because I remember the days when, referral fees were allowed, and there was so many claims management companies trying to sell these claims onto insurance companies and law firms. So I think you you absolutely have hit the nail on the head when you say it's so important to have that independence. So that's great that you do operate as an independent
Yes.
organization.
If I
And
could just pick up on that, Kulwinder, what you mentioned, Claim Today, in its illustrious history, we've been serving clients since 1999. We've never worked with claims companies. We've never engaged in referral fees, paying claims companies for clients and so on. We've always generated our own client base based upon our service and reputation. Many people will remember Shah Rukh Khan is a very famous Bollywood star, and he was a brand ambassador for Claim Today. We've had many other illustrious and high-profile presenters in our adverts, but Shah Rukh Khan stands out because he's probably one of our most famous presenters.
brilliant. I love that. So you're getting these celebrities endorsing what you do. That's brilliant.
Right? Do you remember the advert, the Shah Rukh Khan advert?
I think I do. Yeah, I do. Brilliant. I love the strategies you're using, to show that you're unique, and the fact that you've never had to, you know, operate in the standard way. So you must have a really great marketing team, because I see your adverts everywhere and it shows it clearly works. So that's incredible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have a very good marketing strategy and marketing team. But importantly, that marketing is based upon our service and the client. Had we not uh, served our clients well over the last 22 years, we will not be able to continue marketing and engage our clients. And the marketing is reliant upon the client service we provide. And so we always try and look after, put the client first before our own interests. And by putting the client first, it's meant that our marketing has also been successful.
That's brilliant. So I must commend you on that for, being successful and how you continue to do so. So you obviously have a great strategy planned, and that's incredible to see that you still got that passion. You're still serving all those clients, and particularly in clients from different ethnic minorities and backgrounds. So I'm sure you help a lot of those people, perhaps where English is not their first language. How important is that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Kulwinder. That's extremely important. Many of our clients don't speak English or they do speak English and they do have a working knowledge of it, but they may not be so comfortable, especially with legal documents in English, so we can help them with a range of languages. And initially, in the early days, we started off with the Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi community, the traditional South Asian communities. But in recent years, we've been helping Russian clients, Polish, Romanian, and Ukrainian clients who are of country in the last few years or recently to work for a better life or whatever reason. And often their English is also very poor. The people who work in trees or construction sites that may not be highly educated in the English language. And so we help an array of communities. And it started with the Asian community, but we've now decided to help other communities who are new to the UK.
So, Mr. Diaz-Bal, why do you think that the claims have started to fall in the personal injury sector? What's your views around that?
Linda, that's a very good question, and it has several elements to it. The first is a recent one to which we can all relate is the pandemic. During the pandemic, workplaces closed, people stopped driving, and there's less industrial activity. And naturally, because there's less activity, there were less accidents as a matter of course. And so the number of accidents dropped in the last 18 months or so. And before that, we've had a long term decline, which has accelerated recently with the industrial base of this country. We've come away from a lot of factories and manufacturing, which has been ongoing for many decades, but it's really accelerated in the last 5 or 10 years. And a lot of the jobs are now in call centres and the service industry. And so there are less and less workplaces where people go to work. I remember when I started out many, many years ago, I used to be the solicitor for the trade union, for the Transport and General Workers Union at Thompson's, solicitors working for the trade unions. And I used to go to the big Land Rover plant every 2 weeks and see the people on site, see all the trade union members and help them with their accidents of work. But many of these plants have either downsized or they've closed completely and they've gone abroad to other parts of the world. So that's been a major factor. But also, as you mentioned earlier, compensation culture. Some people have been discouraged. There's another poll conducted by YouGov, a study, and many people felt that they were reluctant to make a claim because of this perception, this myth, which is not a reality about the compensation culture. It's been a mindset created somehow that's perhaps not the right thing to do, or claiming is not for everybody. And this has been put into the minds of the people by this very effective press campaign by the insurance industry. And coming on from that, the insurance industry have lobbied the Conservative government very hard recently over the last few years, and they've greatly reduced the amount of compensation people can receive. I'll give you an example. When I started out, for an ordinary whiplash claim, if somebody was involved in a road traffic accident and they were hurt and they had symptoms affecting their neck or back, they might ordinarily expect to receive £2,000 or £3,000 of compensation. But now there's a tariff system, and that's been reduced greatly to between £800 to £1,500. And so people have been discouraged. And you have to remember, Kulwinder, the sort of people who claim are not the people in power. It's not going to be Boris Johnson or government ministers or rich, wealthy people who've got millions of pounds, lots of money. The people who claim compensation are ordinary people who are working, and they might need the compensation to help them recover and get their lives back on track. And so the profile of people who claim compensation tends to be ordinary, working, decent people. And they've been made to believe that they shouldn't claim purely to save money for the insurance industry and increase their profits. And all these reasons have come together to, and we've seen a fall in the number of claims in recent years. But Claim Today are working hard to educate the public and help people claim where they have a genuine injury and they are entitled to compensation.
Brilliant, thank you. And yes, I agree. You provide such a important service to the general public, and they absolutely should claim if they've had an accident. So, what would you say, Mr. Diaz-Bao, to those claimants who are considering bringing a claim? Um, what options do they have if they if they feel that they don't necessarily have the money, to pay to acquire your services? What would you like to say to them?
Well, most solicitors now, including Claim Today, we work on a no win, no fee. Again, historically, when I started out, and we were very proud of this, Claim Today was a pioneer in 100% compensation. We used to give 100% of the compensation to our clients intact because as solicitors, we were entitled to claim our costs in addition and pay for the running of the claim and for representing the client. But again, these reforms have now made it harder for the general public by taking away solicitors' costs. And the recent reforms now mean that all the work is done on a contingency fee basis, which is essentially a deduction, a cut. A deduction must be made from the compensation to pay for the representation for making the claim. And we are still able to work on a no win, no fee basis. We don't charge our clients anything, win or lose. But if they win, there's usually a deduction, and it's usually about 25% of the compensation, and which we're not very happy to do because I've always worked for my clients with 100% compensation. It used to be one of our very famous taglines. Shah Rukh Khan and others used to tell our clients about how they would receive 100% compensation, but that is now changed. That's now gone because of these reforms, again designed to put people off from claiming, to make it harder. But Claim Today make it easy. We have an excellent team. We have expert solicitors working for us, and we have a very good team. Our first point of response, our team will speak to you in any language, English, Punjabi, Urdu, Gujarati, any language at all, and make sure you understand the process, and it becomes relatively risk-free.
Brilliant. Yes. So essentially, what you're saying is you've been forced to go down that route and, change your famous tagline because of the squeeze that the government has forced upon you and other personal injury um, firms and organizations.
Absolutely. Kulwinder, it's very important to note the people who are suffering in this or who are having their compensation, their entitlement reduced, are ordinary working people. I come back to this point again. It's not the millionaires or very rich people or the politicians who need to claim for compensation. It's ordinary working people, and they've been squeezed. And this is part of a general trend. There's a BBC documentary how the super rich and the rich are becoming wealthier and wealthier, whereas ordinary people have been squeezed by the cost of living crisis, the financial crisis before this, and this squeeze on them in the personal injury sector is part of that same story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. So it's so important for organizations such as yours, Claim Today, to be available and accessible to everyone. So I would just reiterate you do such a good service for the public. So, anyone who has been injured should absolutely get in touch with you. So, Mr. Diaz-Bell, I have one more question for you. So, can you tell me about one of your most interesting cases that you've had recently, and what your shares would be, or any learning points from that?
I've had lots of many interesting cases over the years, and some of the clients I became very close to and attached to because I helped them. And there's enormous satisfaction. It's like a server, it's a service being able to help them, especially because they're ordinary people. And one of the cases I always remember, and it featured in the press, it's in the Birmingham Evening Mail, and there's a big full page spread, and the headline was the £25,000 paving stone. And I remember the case because it was a little old Irish lady, an elderly lady of Irish origin, who had fallen in the city centre on some very bad paving. Initially, the council denied liability because they said the paving's it's not so bad, really, and she shouldn't have fallen. But I felt very sorry for this little old lady and this Irish lady. I can't share her details or her name, but
Yes.
they turned the case down, said no, we're not paying out, and that made me more determined to fight and to get a result and to succeed because the client was elderly. She lived on her own and she was Irish, a bit like the Punjabi community, an immigrant community who'd come to this country many years ago, leaving behind difficult circumstances in Ireland, coming for a better life, and living here in Birmingham. And eventually, I fought the case very hard, and the council conceded liability. There was liability, and they were trying not to pay. Their insurance company was not trying to pay. I must emphasise that. It's the insurance companies who have to pay out on these claims. And eventually, we secured £25,000 for this elderly Irish lady, and it changed her life. She was able to go to Ireland. She hadn't been to Ireland for many, many years to see her family, and she was so grateful. And the satisfaction I got from that was immense because not only did I help this lady, she had a very nasty injury. She fell very heavily. She was elderly and she suffered a horrible injury. But we were able to help her and receive treatment, rehabilitation, physiotherapy, and be reunited with her family in Ireland because it's helped to pay for a trip and give her some financial freedom. And that's just one case. There's many dozens of cases. I mean, personally, the company claimed it has been involved in helping thousands of clients. We've helped many thousands of clients, maybe more than 10,000 clients over the years. But personally, I've been involved in several dozen cases where I was very pleased with what we did for the client. I'd like to share some more of those stories with you. I'd also like to invite some of the clients perhaps to come on this program and talk about their experiences.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, it's so incredible to know the impact that you're having, with that particular client. Not only did it impact her, but also her family. And I know from past experience how difficult the council can be. You've really got to be a, a force a force that continues to push. So you need that tenacity, you need that negotiation skills, you need to be quite tough in your communication to persevere. So well done. That's a really fantastic result. And you certainly had a big impact on that client's life.
Thank you very
So
much. Thank you. And it's that sort of satisfaction that helps Claim Today carry on and being able to help ordinary people. I must come back to that point again, I think for the third or fourth time. It's very ordinary, decent working people that we are helping. And they're being neglected in society. And we want to help them.
yeah, absolutely. And, that's why we're here today to, make sure those people are reaching out for the help and claiming the compensation that they need so that they can continue with their life and have the means to do so, because some of these injuries can be quite severe, as we know, and, very life changing. And they may need new equipment in their home, So, is there a case where you can share where a client needed maybe adaptations to the home or, you know, a quite serious case and the impact on the client?
Yes, and we will save that for the next episode because I know
Ah,
we're running close to time. I've just had a signal from Kartik, but I'll speak about that in our next episode. And that case actually involves chronic pain syndrome. So please do remind me, and we'll talk about that.
I will do. That's brilliant. I just want to say thank you so much for everything you've shared today, Mr. Diaz Bell. And if you could share your organization's details and how clients can, or potential claimants can make contact with you, I think that would be great.
I prefer not to. I like people to contact me personally. They can find me on social media. And Claim Today is a well known household brand. I prefer not to share those details here today, but I'm sure people can ask about us as well. And we get a lot of our work from word of mouth. Most of our work comes from clients who tell other people about us. And so I like to say that our service is the way to contact us, and our service is our marketing tool and our method of reaching people.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure speaking to you today.
Thank you, Kulwinder. Thank you for joining. And we'll perhaps join again next week and talk about more legal updates and share our experiences as lawyers and perhaps invite some new lawyers to join us in our regular weekly legal update. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds brilliant. Catch you
Thank
next
you.
week. Thank you.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ.